We're going to prepare the planting area now for our seedlings which are ready to plant. So first of all, I've got some 16-16-16 general purpose fertilizer, and I'm just going to sprinkle that over the area where the plants will be growing. That's quite enough. And then I'm going to work it in to the soil so that it's worked in Now that it's worked in, level it a little bit. Then get a hose pipe and wet the soil well. The soil was already damp a little bit, so I don't need too much water, but I need to make sure that it's nice and wet and damp for the seedlings. If you like, you can add it, help it along a little bit, but this looks pretty good and damp for now. So this is now ready for the seedlings. Okay, here we have some seedlings, which is the ideal size for planting, about a hand width. Now if you look carefully, you'll see that these are in fact two seedlings growing here, and that happens when seeds stick together. Occasionally you get a seed sticking together and then two plants will grow. We have to separate them because you cannot plant seedlings this close together. They need to be 2 feet apart. So I find the best way to do that is take it out of the pot, and I have here a bucket of water. Push it down in the water, moving it up and down and gently removing all of the soil from around the roots. So I'm removing all of the soil around the roots. Once the soil is removed, we can now separate it by holding it carefully at the base of the stem and putting it in the water and gently easing the roots away while holding onto the roots. And eventually you will end up with two seedlings complete with their roots. And I like it because I've now got two seedlings for the price of one. So now this is ready to transplant. Here we have our two seedlings that I'm going to transplant. I've put them in the ground where I want them to be 2 feet apart. They should not be any closer. So here is the first seedling, and this you can see is the level of the soil in the first seedling. But I want to plant it deeper than that. I want to plant it at least 2 or 3 inches deeper, because additional roots will grow out from the stem and give the plant more roots. So I'm going to take off this bottom leaf, this branch, and pinch off this one. I have 3 inches above the root line exposed. I will now dig a planting hole and put my tomato in all the way down so that the soil now reaches where I had removed the leaves. And that is now ready to grow, and extra roots will come from the side of the stem. Once your tomato seedling has reached a certain age and is starting to flower, it's very important to remove the first 2 flower clusters. The reason for that is because in nature, plants try to reproduce themselves as quickly as possible, and they put all their effort into the first flower. If a plant is under stress for any reason, usually because of heat or lack of water, it stops vegetative growth and it moves on to reproductive growth to produce the flower. In tomatoes, the plant will put all it can into producing the first few fruits, and once it's done that, it seems to back off and not worry about the rest of it. So if we remove the first 2 flower clusters, it's like tricking the flower into thinking that they really better do something to make sure they reproduce themselves, and therefore the rest of the flowers the plant gives a lot more attention to, and you get many more fruit and better fruit. So here I have the first 2 flowers in this particular seedling. Top one and the bottom one. This is the first one and this is the second one. And we have to remove them both before they start producing fruit. So we'll start with this one. You can either use some pruning shears and just clip it off, or what I usually do is just with my fingers push it off, pinch it off, and now I have removed the first flower. All right, so the second one, I'm actually going to use my garden shears to snip it off so you can see just at the base of the entire cluster, and we cut it off. Once you have removed the first 2 flower clusters, now is the time to put your cage over the plant. So we will get this cage and just gently put it down over the plant and push it down. This will support the plant as it grows. As it grows, you will need to check it out and make sure that most of the branches are inside the cage. Do it after you've done both flowers, because then you know that the flowers have been removed.